Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Centre. This is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and shit.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is We'll do it live! Time goes in, time goes out. Never miss communication.
It's over 9,000! My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there.
Don't face me, bro! It's a trap! I'm a firing believer! Time to Hey, Charlie, wake up! Oh, God, oh, man!
Hello one and all, and welcome back to Nerds No Bases here on Phoenix 92.5 FM. This week you have myself, Kevin, and with me is Darragh. How are you doing, Darragh?
Ahoy, ahoy. Here at some expense in London, live on location, reporting on location.
Reporting on location.
Yes.
Groundbreaking facts from a hotel room in London.
Yes, because, you know, I was like, what else am I going to do? Ireland is slowly disappearing into the sea because of the weather.
Slowly?
And I'm like,
I think it's actually happening rather quickly. Black Rock train station is underwater.
That's fair. That's fair. It just seems to be every time I look at the news. Well, actually, we were talking before we went on air. Every time I look at the news, it's dark and extremely dark. But when you look at the weather, it's like Ireland is slowly submerging. You know what? I think maybe
the weather's colourful, but that is all the warnings.
That's fair, but I think it's just like, you know, time to read the Bible a bit more. I think maybe it's getting apocalyptic out there.
Yeah, I've yet to see any locusts, so I'll start worrying when there's locust and blood coming from the blood coming from the sky.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, other than that,
you are actually on location because you've been to. There is something a brewing in London.
Yeah, no, there's a few things going on. Like, obviously, I'm over here because we're playing a show tomorrow. Horrenda's playing like our only show we have booked this year so far.
Which, if you want to see it, too late. It has happened.
It has already happened. So if you weren't there, you weren't there. But while I'm here. Well, hopefully it went well. We'll find out. But it's there's a couple of things actually going on over here. So I was like, right, I'll pop in and see. So we're going to talk about them. So I managed to knock off two things that we're going to talk about on the show this week. How are you?
I thought you were going to start talking about the things.
No. No, despite what I do always when Keen is here, where I just derail the show, I'm gonna try follow the format.
That's what I was expecting. You've thrown me for a curveball by pointing it. We don't have video, but it's as if you point the camera and just like give me the like go on gesture. No, I'm good. I'm good. I've been on some globe-trotting adventures myself. I've been wondering Edinburgh, which just a gorgeous city. For you know, Dark Souls fans, it is basically like walking around Yarnum from Bloodborne. It's just, it is like old Gothic granite architecture up the wing wang. Like it is a beautiful city, and that's like besides all the underground stuff.
Well, it's on the list. I really can't wait. I can't wait to go. I've heard nothing but great things about how beautiful it is.
Yeah, no, like stunning, and obviously like the castle is full of like medieval stuff, which I know you are a big fan of.
Yeah, I love medieval history. I really do.
Yeah, no, so Edinburgh, one to check out. It's also like less than an hour's flight. It's great. Tell us about London.
So there's a couple of things going on. Look, here's the thing about London. Every time you go to London, there's just things to do. So when the band was playing, I was like, oh, what's going on? So the first thing, I don't know, I'll give you a good one and a bad one, right? So, and the bad one is actually kind of funny. So the first one, there's, in the British Museum at the moment, there's a temporary exhibit all about the samurai. So it goes from their origin as like um they were a warrior
Basically,
class, obviously. They were a warrior
yeah.
class, but it wasn't that they were like that's how they started off. They were kind of like a mercenary class, and then would
Oh yeah,
ascend
no,
to
they
the
were
highest.
wandering vagrants at first.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they were like a mercenary class through, and then all the way up. So basically, how they do it is they go section by section through the armor. So it starts off going all the way back to the early 12th century, where
Hmm.
it's like, right, this is the first oldest samurai armor that they have, and it's awesome, right? And then it goes right through the different periods and the different adaptations. So it has different armor for when they're on horseback, when they're fighting with different swords, and then a really cool one which I didn't think about, but it makes all the sense in the world when gunpowder is brought in, that they actually had to
Hmm.
change the way it was played. So they moved from more kind of like bamboo reed form for obviously defending against strikes and blades to plate armor. So obviously you can take the impact of a
Like
shot.
an iron, but
Uh,
like an iron stock bullet.
exactly, yeah. And then they
Yeah.
have the actual the guns that they were using, which is it's pretty cool. You know, you're like, oh my god, how do you have all this? You know, and then it goes through the more like mythology side of things as well, their impact on society, and then if it wraps up with the last gift that was given to Queen Victoria, I think, where it's just like right, Japan as a modern state starts really. Then it goes into World War II, where the whole idea of the samurai was brought back, and then when it was banned in 1950 because they wanted to move away from the militarism. And then it just takes a very interesting turn because it's like in the 60s, all the samurai stuff was kind of brought back, but brought back through films. And then what I
Hmm.
did not expect, Lord Vader appears. They actually had the the original 1977 Darth Vader costume there because the last section of it, and even if you're not interested in history, you're not interested in all that kind of stuff, but if you listen to this show, you are interested in samurai because, you know, come on, right?
It's what are we
Come on.
talking about here?
Exactly, right? But at the end of it, it's like the history of a true pop culture. So they have a whole section of pop culture where it's obviously through anime, through video games, through Gundam, which is, you know, actually makes all the sense in the world too.
Hmm.
And it's all kind of there in its own thing. But to see Vader's original costume, which I've actually never seen in person, I've seen a lot of props from Star Wars, but I've never seen this one. It's actually very, very intimidating because you forget how big David Prowse actually was. I think he's 6'6", like 6'5", 6'6", a very tall dude. And
That's it. Like
it's a
the
very,
impression
you
it
know,
gives you is that like, because obviously, I think internally you're hearing James Earl Jones, you're picturing James Earl Jones, but you forget that like it is David Prowse, and yeah, no, tall, imposing figure. Like I don't think Mark Hamill's a short man, and he's just
no.
dwarfed by him.
Yeah, but even in the lore as well, when you're like, he was just
Hmm.
mowing through rebels, and it's just like, yeah, you could totally see that, you know, even without choking you or with a lightsaber, just to fit the sheer visual
Mhm.
um, impact of Vader's armor, it is genuinely a sight to behold, and it's cool because you're like, yeah, obviously it's impacted by certain things, but you forget that a lot of that armor is just traditional Japanese, not
So
only
like
traditional Japanese armor, but it is samurai
it
in
is
nature.
based on
Like,
the way that helmet just kind of flares out of the bottom is reminiscent to those like Tokugawa Shogun era like helms that kind of flared out of the bottom.
it's not even the helmet as well. It's the actual like neck piece. It's
Mm.
the actual design of how it all hangs together. It is designed very much to be traditional samurai armor, which you forget that like not only did Lucas take the whole and I don't want to say the whole plot of Star Wars because that's unfair, but he did take the big moves from, you know, the Seven Samurai and stuff like that. But a lot, and the philosophy from Buddhism is developed because there is a lot of the Orient in Star Wars, along with like the hero's journey and Joseph Campbell and all that kind of stuff. But like the visual stuff of it as well, it really just kind of clicks in, and I've never seen it laid out that much where you're like, yeah, that makes so much sense. And then it comes full circle where they have Kylo Ren's helmet there as well, because that was kind of brought back. So in the DNA of Star Wars, it very much is very, very linked to the samurai. So I would recommend it if you're in London before May, I think it closes. It's absolutely worth it. Now, I'm a member, so it was free to me, but I think it's like £12. But definitely book ahead because everybody's just making a beeline to see it because it is really, really cool. And look, they changed out their temporary exhibits, so you won't get to see the same thing twice if you're in London. But definitely always check and book ahead because this was just absolutely incredible.
Sick. No, that sounds really cool. If we were talking before, if you regale us, you were talking before recording, and you had to stop yourself from stepping in to explain what anime was to a pair of old British women.
Yeah. Because obviously I'm walking around, and the last exhibit, like they have a ninja scroll playing on the screen.
No, not Ninja Scroll. You didn't
I
say it was
know.
Ninja Scroll.
No, I know, and I was just like, oh my god, like they're gonna like we can't even talk about Ninja Scroll on this podcast because we're on the radio. Like,
But
did
all
you
I'm
see
saying,
Ninja Scroll?
it's
You know
sick
why?
It's sick as hell.
Oh, Ninja Scroll is badass, but we cannot talk about it at all other than that. And if you've seen it, you know why. And then like these two women were like, Crunchyroll, what's that? And I was like, duh, don't say anything. Just let it go. There's no reason to interject yourself and explain what that is to two old women. So I didn't.
You can feel the creeping up your spine of your
Yeah.
finger raising to go, actually.
So I resist the urge. However, I went to the store afterwards because he obviously exited the gift shop, as you do through anything that's worth doing. And I was like, either I'm going to spend no money or I'm going to spend a lot of money. And I like Kev, I have had a Gundam half finished in a like box for 2 years. I finally finished it this week, and I was like, all right, I have no more Gundams done. It's fine. I finally got it finished, and I bought one today because it's a samurai one. I have no idea when that's going to get done. It could be next week, could be 3 years from now. We'll find out.
I've always toyed with the idea. I think the big thing stopping me is I lack like the workspace to do it. Like
I will be on
the desk I'm recording at is also where my wife works from home, so I can't leave I can't leave a Gundam sitting there at all times.
Now what I will say, is right. If you've never played, with they're called Gunpla, but you know you can call it the Gundams as well. They're you can bang them out in like 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours. They're not. It's kind of hard to explain.
Well, depending, I've heard about it, but that's also depending on the grade you get of it. There is like difficulty levels of like detail.
Yeah, but I'm assuming if you've never done it before, you're not going to go for like the expert one.
Oh yeah, not like super grade.
No. But okay, if you're just starting off, right? I mean, like when we did is it a Metal Gear? I gave one away. And your man actually finished it in a day. So I was like super impressed. So if you haven't seen that, go on our social media and you can actually see what that one looked like. But like I was just like, I had like a intermediate one. And I made a bunch of them, but I was just kind of, for some reason, just didn't get around to this one. And if you literally just sit there and do it, you'll get through it in about maximum 3 hours for an intermediate. A starting one, an hour and a half. But those other ones, they can go all the way up to like 9 or 10 hours. But I definitely recommend it, Kev. It's like there's no glue unless you break it. But you can't. They all just kind of snap together, and they're also extremely customizable because, like the one that I actually just made, you can change every single thing about it. So I think they are the best value for, like, I love Lego. I'm a big Lego guy, but
Mm,
when you're Lego's great to an extent, but it is very much like, here's your kit, here's what you're making, and that's it.
yeah.
And then you kind of put it into the module city or whatever. But with Gunpla, it's like you can really sit there and you can do it in, let's say, 2 hours, but you can customize everything from the markings that are on it, the type of eyes that he has, the weapons, the way the fans sit. You can get that detailed with it. So I think from, like, you spend $20, let's say, you have 3 hours of absolute fantastic um building experience, which you don't really get with Airfix, you don't really get with Lego. I'd recommend it to anybody just to give it a try and see what they think. And it isn't like space heavy, but the cleanup is kind of like a bit more than Lego because you're obviously like clipping away. But
Popping
if you
things
have a
out, just like plastic frames and what have you.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But if the only thing you'd really need to get started there is like a clippers, which you can get for, I don't know, 5, 10 euros on Amazon. You click those in and away you go. I'd recommend it. It's funny that you said it, Kev. It's not space heavy. You just have to not get interrupted. So,
Yes.
you know,
That's
uh,
that's the hard
I
part.
yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to Keen, because Keen's a busy guy all the time.
The
But
kid
like,
will interrupt it.
they will.
Yeah.
But if you're in that position, listeners, listen at home, maybe don't. But if you have three hours or 2 to 3 hours, and you're just like, right, stick on a long podcast, stick on an audiobook, you'll just have a great experience. And consider the fact that it's raining all the time, you're not going anywhere. You got, now's the perfect time to do
Perfect
it.
winter experience. No, I
Honestly,
have wanted to for a little while now because I've actually been dipping my toes gradually into like Gundam as a franchise.
no,
Um,
that's
which
a deep
like
pool. That's a
deep
deep
pool, but
pool.
like there's a few things I'd say like because I watched Witch from Mercury a couple of years ago. I thought that was great. I
Mhm.
like if you it's very easy to sell me when you're like, yeah, it's Gundam with lesbians. Easy, done. Great show. But I decided to actually go back and watch the original like 70s or no, was it 60s?
Yeah, it goes
Early
all the way
70s
back to the
Gundam.
60s.
The
Gundam
original
Wing.
Gundam. No,
Gundam Wing is
Gundam.
the best one. Yeah, but Gundam Wing is the best one, in my
I'll get to
opinion.
Wing. I'll get to Wing one of these
Yeah,
days. But
yeah.
what I will say is that the original Gundam is actually very accessible if you can get over it having maybe 6 frames of animation an episode.
Yes, that is the only problem with it. That is the only
But its
problem with it.
writing is actually really, really good, and like there are some genuinely exceptional like episodes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's a very well paced like war story following basically like a band like a ragtag crew manning this ship through the galaxy. Which I think I mentioned it during like our what is the Metal Gear? Is this a Metal Gear panel? But
Yeah,
my favorite just like tidbit in original Gundam is that like it's a galaxy globe trotting adventure where they travel from like the deeper reaches of the Milky Way all the way back to Earth, and then there's the latter half of the season they're kind of crossing the planet Earth, and for the most part there's if the names of the places aren't made up, it's very like kind of broad sweeping statements like Greater China or the Middle East or the European continent, all except for one very specific country they name that they land at, and it is Northern Ireland, indicating that the Troubles are canon to the Gundam universe.
well, it's funny because the Troubles are canon to many. I'm gonna say mythologies of different franchises, like Captain Planet, which is the funniest one. If you guys haven't seen the Captain Planet Northern Ireland episode,
I
it
think you
is
have told me
quite
this.
hilarious.
Yeah,
Uh,
canon in
it-
Star Trek as well. Except they
that's
fixed it
true.
in Star Trek. There was a unification.
But my favorite like random animated foible when it comes to Ireland or Northern Ireland is the Turtles, because what people don't realize is the teenage hero, teenage ninja mutant turtles, depending on where you are, was actually written and animated. Well, it was either written in America and then animated here, but the creative team was kind of based in Ireland. And there's an episode of them in Dublin.
Really?
Yeah, which is insane. But it's not just like, with the diddly eye and like it actually is like almost perfect to 90s Dublin. Like they're going down O'Connell Street and it looks exactly like it does because they animated it up the road. It's insane. It's crazy.
No, it's funny when you get like kind of cool interpretations of Ireland that isn't just like the stereotype in things like this, which leads us very neatly into what I wanted to talk about this week, which is a video game I believe you have not heard of, Darragh, called the Séance of Blake Manor.
Not.
So, this is a mystery game set in Connemara in the 1890s. Which, off the bat, we don't have video games set in historical Ireland nearly enough that this is already special.
It's definitely unique.
But the basic premise is you're Detective Declan Ward with a missive from the father of one Evelyn Dean to find his daughter who has disappeared from Blake Manor, a hotel out in the west of Ireland. Only to arrive there and find out the hotel has been rented out by a group of variety spiritualists to conduct this grand seance, and Evelyn Dean was one of them. And as you just kind of unfold, there is so much in this game of Irish history and Irish mythology. Like, one of the first people you meet is a self-proclaimed druid who will just talk at you at length about the Tuatha De Danann and Fionn McCool. But like the cast is so varied. Of like, one of them is a Loa voodooist. Like there's members of the Golden Dawn are involved.
Wow.
There's a Catholic priest who is made very clear is not a fan of the Magdalene laundries, but is still not good. But no, so like it's cool that like it gets into like Irish history and Irish like spiritualism. The other thing is, I won't kind of give away too much about like I'll get into kind of the game mechanics in a sec. But one of the big things is that like you have to find out whether or not people are Christian, and the game does this by very clearly telling you who is Catholic and who is Protestant, and that is important.
Oh god. Did you check where they put their toaster?
Walk in the hotel room, open the press, see the toaster. Well, I know that one.
You know what? I didn't know that was a thing for years, and then when we started gigging up north, when I started going up north more, they were like, "Yeah, it's a thing." I was like, "That's so weird. Why would you put a toaster anywhere? You'd leave it on the counter."
I don't know.
What's wrong?
Crumbs everywhere.
All the crumbs. The crumbs get everywhere. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, why would you put it away? It's just, I don't know. Leave a comment below, folks. Where do you leave your toaster and why?
And do you leave it out on the press like a good Catholic should?
Purely because for the crumbs and nature of it. It's like if you keep moving it, the crumbs are going to get everywhere.
I have to clean the thing every other week just because of the crumbs.
Yeah, it's like, no, you're silly putting it anywhere else.
But no,
you're making work for yourself.
No, the gameplay itself is actually really, really cool.
So come here, Holland. You haven't told me. Is this on? Are you playing it on the Steam Deck or is it on the Switch?
I'm playing it on PC. I'm sure you can play it on the Steam Deck. I don't know how quite like controller support would work with it. It's very cool. Like, I'm finding it very intuitive with the mouse and keyboard. I don't believe it's on console yet.
So is it like point and click, or you move around like
point and click aspect to it? There is a bit of a point and click aspect to it. So the main kind of like mechanic of it is that like it's a mystery game, so you're going around, you're talking to people, you're investigating different objects. The crux of the mechanic is that every time you interact with a person or an object or whatnot, a minute in-game time passes. Time doesn't pass while you're moving around, actually getting around, but it's you actively pursuing the investigation that progresses time. Which obviously,
Okay.
like the game is set across like a 2-day weekend span, so time is a limited resource. But it also doesn't make that laborious in anything you have already investigated or topics you've already talked about with people. Do not again progress time. So it's a limited resource that you are spending, and like once that is spent, you can get that information again very freely. And as somebody who isn't a huge fan of mystery games, I find I'll just get distracted and frustrated and just inevitably look up a guide at a certain point. This one has kept me from doing that because of how it like relates information to you. Every time you unveil something new, it basically has like a spidergram mind map interface that like lays out every piece of information and kind of then gives you like a clue to lead off to. So it's all very clear, and anything that you need to know is kind of given back to you as like and is pretty handily available.
Yeah, that's what you want. Like with it's like any kind of game that knows what it is. That's good game design. Because like if it's, I'm the same with mystery games. I can kind of take them or leave them. Two games I don't particularly like, or two types of games I don't like: stealth and mystery games, because they're very very hard to implement. And you see them very often implemented poorly, and it's just like, oh come on, it just wastes time. But when they are implemented brilliantly, it really is a gem. So this actually sounds fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's because the one I compare it to that I gave a go was one of the big, like, really critically well responded games last year was called Blueprints. And it didn't jive with me. That game's kind of premise is that like you're inheriting a mansion, but the only way you actually get the mansion is by finding the secret 47th room of the mansion. The only thing is every day the mansion's rooms recycle and change layout. So there's kind of a roguelike element and kind of a randomization element, but to get new rooms you have to solve puzzles. But the game didn't have a good way of tracking where puzzles were and what the solutions were. And I'm sure the people that actually like that sort of game design, I need something like, I don't have the memory to be able to like remember where every minute detail was. And I don't find enjoyment in actually having to write down maps and details.
You know what has done so much damage to game design? And this is a controversial take, but it's me, so come on. Metroidvania game style. I know people love it. But if I'm playing a game and it's Metroidvania, I turn it off immediately. I hate that game style because it has enshrined that where it's like, no matter what it is, it's going to be back and forth. It's not going to give you anything, which some people love. I can totally see the appeal of it. But it's just like, when you're trying to do a mystery, it's very hard to keep track of it. It's very opaque. And you're like, just tell me where it is or give me a way to keep track of it without having to go 20 minutes one way and then 20 minutes back.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of games fall into that because it's a very easy game style to do. It's very tropey as well, but at the same time, it's just like, I think 85% of mystery games do that, and I hate it so much. And it is because of the Metroidvania thing. So it is refreshing to see that you can just have a game where you can have your mystery and it won't punish you for investing it. I don't know if you played the old Blade Runner game. It is on the Switch.
No.
You'd really enjoy it. Actually, the code for that was lost for years, and they found it, and now it's been ported to the Switch. But that's a point and click puzzle adventure game which has a mystery and a twist. That's a really cool way as well, because time is, as you said, a resource as well, but you are able to keep track of it. And I think when a game is done in that way, it's the best way to do mystery games.
Yeah, it's funny actually. You mentioned the Metroidvania thing. I had an experience where last year I decided to go back and try replaying Hollow Knight on the run of Silksong, because obviously that was like the zeitgeist. That was like the thing last year. and I've played Hollow Knight, and while I do think it is a beautiful, beautiful game, I found it infinitely frustrating. Got an ending, read what I needed to do to get the better ending, and then said no, and immediately made me realize I had no interest in playing Silk Song, no matter how many times people told me I wanted to. But what that has led me to, though, is that I watched somebody play Silk Song, and that has made me realize that Silk Song is in fact one of the best games developed in the past 10 years.
The thing about it is, it's like there isn't. I don't think there's a right way and a wrong way to go into the Metrovania thing. If you find them incredibly frustrating, you will not like them, no matter how good the game is. And I fully believe that. I mean, like as I said, I'm not saying that it's a bad game design, but it's for me, I cannot play them because I like objectively, they're some of the best games ever made. However, if you don't like that game design, you will be frustrated because you have to go back and forward. And for me, I'm just like, no, I'm not doing that, you know? And it's that weird disconnect where you're just like, I know this is good, but I really hate it. But speaking of something so I was playing a game, so I started working for a website called Nerdly. So if you guys haven't checked out, go over to Nerdly. I do, I'm trying to do more regular game reviews for it. And a game I played recently, by recently I mean 3 months ago, it's a game that is like that. It's an objectively fun game, but I kind of hated it. But then I also really liked it once I read their little manifesto in the game. So the game is called Figure It Out. And I'm going to pitch it on this, Kev, right? So it's hysterical, like just the premise alone, right? It's hysterical women, and you need to try and figure out why they're hysterical, right? So it's either an hysterical girlfriend or wife, and basically they're having a row with you. And you can upgrade different girls based on how well you do. So the premise is, it's like the first girl, she's really upset about something, and you need to do a puzzle mapping gameplay to figure out what she's upset about. So it's just like, and it took a while to kind of figure it out, but I had 3 hours on a flight to Poland. So I just basically played the game on the flight. And it was just like, you know, she's like, oh, you're upset about, you know, that you didn't notice her haircut, or you didn't notice her outfit, or you left the dishes out, or whatever. And then it progresses to like this gamer girl who you want to go and do stuff, but she wants to play her video game and all that kind of stuff. And it's all like, when the first time you play it, it's actually kind of sexist. I'm not going to lie to you. And I was just like, whoa, I've actually never.
It sounded
like,
that.
Yeah, it's like I've never played a game that's like just sexist, right? And but I was like, okay, the gameplay isn't really that engaging, but it's a interesting kind of loop. And then when I was just about to finish it, I actually noticed that they had a little manifesto. And it turns out it's all 100% designed by women. And they did it at a game jam, because what happened is this random woman walked in and started screaming at her boyfriend. And then she was like, oh, well, if you don't know what's wrong, you can just figure it out. So they actually designed this whole game as a commentary on what they saw about like negative experiences that some people can have in relationships. And I was like, whoa, this is actually a very smart game. But they don't introduce it at all. It's just like, when you're playing it first, you're just like, okay, this is probably one of the most sexy things I've ever played. But at the same time, it's just like, oh, okay, that was interesting.
It kind of has to lead you there.
It kind of has to lead you there. Isn't it very odd? And I was just like, wow, okay, that's a strange way to do it. But I've never had that experience before, where outside factors of a game, while inside the game, completely changed how I. And then when I went back and played it again, I was like, okay, this is actually like a proper commentary on that, rather than just being its thesis. It's not like Bubble Pop. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if you ever played Bubble Pop.
Of course, you've told me about Honey Pop.
Or Honey Pop, not Bubble Pop. Sorry, Honey Pop.
You have told me about Honey Pop.
Yeah, Honey Pop. It's there's the sequel, not so much, but the first one is that's a fun game, despite the fact that you feel bad every time you play it.
It's a fun game, despite the rampant sexism.
Yeah, but it's the best Candy Crush game I've ever played. Like, legitimately. I think the game mechanic is just phenomenal. So, what can I say?
Oh god. Well, I think if we might actually, because I know you've also played a game that I think is just uh uncritically just good.
Oh my god!
I must have talked about it with Kian at one stage or another, but I'm glad
Yeah,
you
because
played it so I can talk about it with you. You played
yeah,
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle recently.
oh man, I mean, I didn't know you played this game. I'm also shocked that we didn't talk about it because like I edit the shows, so either you guys edited that one and I didn't listen to it yet, or we missed it because
Or I just forgot to say it, yeah.
that's true. It could be an array of any of those things, Kev, but we're talking about it now. Holy hell, where was this
Isn't it a
game?
damn good video game.
Where was this game? I mean, I look, I bought it. I bought it like last year, and I didn't get around to it because the backlog builds up. It's a whole thing. Life happens, and I randomly started playing it. I was like, oh, this will probably be all right. 6 hours later, I was just like, oh my god, this game is unbelievably good. Like, it's not just a good Indiana Jones game because there are a few of them. Objectively, this game, wouldn't you feel like you're Indiana Jones? Which I don't know about you. Like, I've been playing Indiana Jones since I was 4 years old on the on the old floppy disk. What's it? Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade game. That's one of my earliest gaming memories. That and Wolfenstein, which is actually extremely fitting. We'll get into that in a second.
Which is very relevant, yeah.
I know, right? I just put that together now. I remember one of the first games I ever played was Wolfenstein, and also this Indiana Jones game, which if you've played it, actually you can play it. It's on GOG, the Last Crusade game. You never really got to feel like you're Indiana Jones with this, and even some of the latter ones, it kind of gets there, but you've never actually really, in my opinion, got it. This game opens where you're doing the mission from Raiders of the Lost Ark to get the idol, and then you have to run away from the boulder, which is a nice touch. And then there's a hard smash.
Perfect one-to-one recreation of it in high def graphic engines, which looks incredible.
It looks incredible. Like I'm playing it on the PS5, and it still looks really, really good. I mean, like they have Harrison Ford de-aged perfectly. It's like you're watching a movie, and I don't mean that in like, oh, it's like you're watching a movie. It's like you're watching a movie, and I mean that in the best possible way.
Stylized to the degree where it's more realistic than if it was like hyper realistic. It's exceptional. Like, it looks like a movie from the 70s.
Correct. No, that's the best way to put it. Yeah, it does. And the gameplay, even though it's still very gameplay, still is like, I'm like, why did just do this? You didn't need to waste $1 billion making a terrible movie 2 or 3 years ago. Could have just released this. And the story itself is actually super good. I'm a big fan of the Nephilim, and it was cool that there's so much was based in the Vatican. Because that's my jam.
That is the shock. Awesome. That is the part that is shocked I never talked about you with it. Because of course how did you not know that there was a game where you spent 7 hours faffing around the Vatican?
I didn't know, but I was just like, oh my god, this game is made for me. I was just like, it's phenomenal. Like, it really, really is. I can't really put into words how shocked I am that it just completely went under my radar.
It's such a blast. So, like, as just to kind of clear up a couple of the facts that you mentioned. So this is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. That's actually, the funny thing is, I was going to ask what you're playing it on, because that does indicate that does tell me a couple of small things. The game was originally an Xbox exclusive.
It was,
released 2 years ago, because it's made by Machine Games, who are owned by Bethesda, who are then owned by Microsoft, yada yada. Which, tying back to, as you mentioned, Machine Games were the developers of the last 2 Wolfenstein games, tying that back in, which these games just love making games where you can punch Nazis.
That's fair.
Going through a line. But, and
I will say though, I will say though that, like, the Wolfenstein games, they fell off. Like, Youngblood is not good.
Youngblood was ropey, but
It
like
was ropey.
those two, New Colossus and Old Colossus, are bangers.
You know, my favorite one actually is Old Blood. That's a phenomenal game.
Oh yeah, that was kind of the mini one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal game. If you have about 4 hours, that's the Wolfenstein I'd pitch to anybody because that one is so good.
I think across like those 3 or 4 like BJ Blazkowicz ones, I don't think you're gonna get a bad one out of the pack.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so the core mechanic of this is that you're playing Indiana Jones in a kind of a mystery action game. It's a first person game, which is really interesting because again, comparison to Wolfenstein, which is like high octane, violent first person shooter. This takes that like structure of a game, and while you have like guns and it is a shooter, it does everything in its power to de-emphasize and push you away from using guns at all. They have very limited bullets. They take forever to like shoot and reload. They notify everyone in the area.
So, okay, on that point, I picked up a gun once as Indy, and they did everything in their power for me to not use it. And then at one point, I was traversing from a watchtower down into one of the bases, and I'd lost the gun, and I was like, okay, I didn't need it, and then you just use the whip. So it's weird to play a game that is a Wolfenstein feeling game at points.
Yeah,
where you're not firing endless bullets.
Which actually, kind of talking to you earlier, you were talking about how like stealth is rarely kind of like instituted well. I think this is actually an instance where they have done stealth quite well.
Yeah, and it's because
everything
it's
like feels weighty enough, and like there's an introduction of like a costume mechanic where you can kind of blend in as an enemy. That like I think just kind of helps with the stealth thing. So you got to make sure that you're if you want to get into like kind of the areas of the Vatican, you have to dress as a priest. If you want to get into one of the more fashion camps, you have to dress like a black shirt.
You know what it is. It's because you're and you've played the Spider-Man game, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's because it's not tacked on. It's actually in service of something. And I think the direct comparison here is the Mary Jane segments of the first Spider-Man game are painful to play. They are horrifically bad. It's because they don't really do anything. It's these tacked on portions of the game, which if you take them out of the game is objectively better. With the segments in the Indiana Jones game, when you're playing them, it's like, well, yeah, you have to kind of go through and learn about the specific information that you're looking for either in the Vatican or elsewhere, because that's what you're doing. That it's objectively why you're there, and even people are saying to you, hey, look, don't bother, there's no real point of you being here, just go home. You're like, no, I need to figure out what's going on. I think the way you put it's great, Kev, where it feels weighty. There's actually a reason for what you're doing, and at any point you can be discovered, you can be killed. With Spider-Man, it's just like, well, it's
when things break bad in Indiana Jones, suddenly there are 10 Nazis shooting you in the face, and you're like, well, auto reload. Let's try that again.
Yeah, like there's a bit. Actually, it's funny because that's when I stopped playing. About 6 hours in, I'm just underneath the Vatican trying to figure out what's going on, and you accidentally alert everyone. It's just wave upon wave of Nazis. You're like, well, I need to figure out a better way to do this.
Let's go one more time.
Yeah. Well, no. Luckily for me, it was like 6 a.m. I was like, I should probably go to sleep.
That's enough of that for today.
Yeah. Definitely, though, if anyone's listening and they're on the fence, I mean, I haven't finished it yet, but I remember in one sitting, I completed 40% of it. That's how good the game is. Definitely get it. I would say it's a must buy for any Indiana Jones fan. This is the game that you've always wanted. I can't put it better than that.
It's the best Indiana Jones movie in the past 20 years.
Oh, even better. That too. If you're an Indiana Jones fan, you've been upset at everything that's happened since The Last Crusade. buy this game. All the pain will go away.
And I guess somebody like I finished it and I got the DLC, played through that. It's all a blast. If you can get it in the DLC for a decent price, it's so worth it.
Yeah,
DLC
when I
is
bought
fine.
one,
I wouldn't say like spend 30 quid in it. If the DLC is on sale, worth it. But yeah,
well, that's the thing. I bought the game when it was on sale, and I kind of forgot about it because I'm like, oh, it's an Indiana Jones game. It's probably not that good. I was going in with the expectation of like it's going to be like Staff of Kings, which isn't terrible either, but it's just it's fine. And then when I start playing, I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. It really is that kind of thing where you're like, if you go in with no expectation, you'll be absolutely blown away. And if you're going in with the expectation that we've given you, you'll still be blown away because you don't actually believe that someone has done this. Whoever made it, just give them keys to the kingdom.
That's I think Machine Games have kind of got that run of like that section of Bethesda. I think they have enough cred to do whatever they need to now. And I look.
But you know what's cool?
I always look forward to whatever they're making. That's like I bought this day one because I trust Machine Games.
But you know what's cool though, right? It's like it's kind of a win for these franchises that have been hurt. Terminator, one of the best Terminator games ever has come out, is out now. Don't know if you played the new 2D Terminator game.
No, I've heard about it. I was listening to a
It's
podcast.
Amazing. It
sounds
amazing.
Interesting. I'm not usually like a 2D like Contra style run and shooter guy, but it sounds interesting enough that I might check it out.
No, you definitely should. It's look, I like those games because they're the games I grew up with, but at the same time, I would rather just play Mushin or something like that. But this is very like Metal Slug, but it's like a perfect recreation of the movie, but has like little bits tacked on. Super fun, cannot recommend it enough. But also, Rogue City came out, one of the best RoboCop games ever. The Terminator game that was made by the same company is also phenomenal. So in the span of 3 years, we've had Indiana Jones saved, Terminator saved twice, and RoboCop. So hey, look, if you're an 80s kid or a millennial, you're eating well. You really are.
Well, but with the last 3 minutes we have talking about expectations of franchises, Darragh, take us to Silent Hill.
Oh God. No, let's not take us to Silent Hill. So I had a choice this week. I was like, I'll go see Iron Lung or Silent Hill, Return to Silent Hill. And Iron Lung, I was like, okay, look, I've already been stung once by a YouTuber movie. Stuckman's movie is not very good. The first 10 minutes of Chris Stuckman's movie, Shady Oaks, is fantastic. The rest of it, not so much. So I've been stung once by a YouTuber movie. I was like, I'm going to roll the dice and just see if...
And you haven't been stung by a Silent Hill movie?
That's what I was going to say. I was like, I'll roll the dice for the third time with Silent Hill on the big screen and see how bad it could be. It turns out...
It can get worse.
It massacred my boy. It's like, now look... My friend of mine was like, oh my God, it's incredible. And then the other friend of mine was like, oh, we really liked it. And I was like, did you play the games? And they're all of them were like, no. And I'm like, okay. So they did a shot-for-shot remake of Silent Hill 2, which is objectively the best game, and if you the best Silent Hill game. And if you disagree, you're wrong. 3 is pretty good too, but 2 is the best one. But they did a shot-for-shot remake and somehow made it bad.
They
I don't know how.
Every aspect of how it looked, and yet missed the point entirely.
Kev, I've never had this experience before. I'm like, you literally made it again, but missed the point and made it worse. How did you? This needs to be studied. This needs to be on like a film course in a university, where they're like, here's how to okay, when I was doing my first master's, we had a module called Using and Abusing Antiquity, right? One of the best modules I ever did, where it was all about translation, where you take a Latin text and you translate it. And it's why whenever you're reading like a copy of the Aeneid or whatever, or the Odyssey, you read as close as you can to the original text, other than if you read Latin or read Greek, then just read that because it's going to be better. So the point I'm making here is translation or like is important, and kind of getting the essence of it is less so. I think what happened here is they're like, yeah, we know Silent Hill, Pyramid Head. Yeah, people, that's what you want, right? And so
Look,
that was
it's
the
Maria.
first Silent. Yeah, no, that was the
Look,
first Silent Hill movie, right? Where they're like a Pyramid Head for some reason. And you're like, no, hold on a second. So this one, they paired it back, and they're like Maria and Pyramid Head, and like, yeah, and you're like, okay, yeah, right, that's a little bit better, but you still don't understand what's going on. They're like, okay, so how about we just reshoot the whole thing? So that's what they did. But it's like someone watched the let's play of it, and then kind of wrote down vaguely the essence, but didn't understand any of the beats, didn't understand the emotion that you're supposed to have. There's a bit in it, and it's goofy as all hell, where he has the radio and he's running through Silent Hill, and stuff's just happening, right? And it's like you're watching a bad let's play of the game. But there's no investment, there's no tension, and then it does a hard cut to him finding Maria in a cult ritual. And you're like, what is this actual nonsense? And how did you mess this up so badly?
It's so funny because, like, especially with when this came out. So I'll put my cards on the table. First off, I haven't seen the movie, but I have watched like videos breaking it down, and like, yeah, some of the plot points sound absolutely insane. But I only played.
You know what? Sorry.
You know what?
Sorry, Kev. You know what they should have done? If this movie had it ended with the dog with the controls,
The dog.
it would have made sense. It would have made more sense. I would have been there you go. Because, you know, everything that this movie has been building towards builds to that ending. That's what they should have done. Sorry, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But so admittedly, I actually only played Silent Hill 2 for the first time last year. The original. And like I'd known about it obviously and played it. It was incredible. I got everything that like people have been talking about with it. And like, you know, and how it being kind of weird and off-putting is also kind of fed into itself, and
yeah,
you know,
that's
the
true.
vibe.
Yeah.
Great. Perfect. Loved it. 10 out of 10. Towards the end of the year, I also then decided to play the remake.
Oh, God.
Have you played the Silent Hill 2 remake at all?
I have seen many people talk about it, but for me, if I'm going to play Silent Hill 2, because I played the first remake on the PS3, I will not touch any remake of Silent Hill 2. So if we're going to play Silent Hill 2, I just play it on the PS2. That's
fair.
it.
I'd say is that like the Bloober Team remake is an interesting reimagining of it. It's a very competent game that like smooths out some of the rougher edges of like gameplay, makes it a bit more of a third-person action game, and does flesh out. I would say that as like I adore Angela in the original. I think her arc and like everything around her father is incredible. The remake manages to just fill in some of the gaps of that and does an incredible job of really just like twisting that knife.
Okay, I can see the appeal of that, but I think the jank.
Oh, the jank is part
needed.
of it. I would agree.
You know, because
like
the thing
I will still like go to say, if you're gonna play Silent Hill 2 in any regard, play the original. Like get a PC ROM of it or something. It is
the struggle. The struggle of the game is part of the game, right? And I don't mean that in some kind of hipster way. It's more like I think that's what the movie doesn't understand. It's like you can't just jump from scene to scene. The struggle of trying to get through Silent Hill is the whole point of Silent Hill. It's a punishment.
That's what I was kind of.
That's what it is. You know,
that's kind of where I was going with this. Is it's funny to me that like we seem to have gotten like 2 reinterpretations of Silent Hill 2 within about a year of each other, and where one is shinier and new, gets about like 90% of the way there. Like, you know, definitely like is picking up on what Silent Hill put down, and it's like its themes and how it deals with, you know, abuse and grief and longing. Like it does nail them, but misses the jank. Like it doesn't have that like that initial grit to it. But it's still like I would say a commendable effort, and gets like an A for effort in you have understood the assignment of what Silent Hill 2 is. And then a year later to get this, which doesn't at all.
There's one scene that emphasizes the whole thing for me, right? It's a flashback scene where it's set in the apartment, and there's just all these people in this apartment, and it's supposed to be a cult reveal of the fact that like all these people help raise everyone in the town and blah blah blah, and you're just like, and then it just cuts to the dad's mummified relics in like a wardrobe, and it's supposed to be a big reveal, and it's just you're just watching it going, there's no tension here. you know what it feels like? It feels like a scene from Madam Web. I mean that without any love in my heart, because Madam Web knew what it was, and it needs to be celebrated for its stilted performances. This is just flat, but it has the same kind of vibe where you're like, what are you doing? How did you mess this up so badly? It's scene for scene. You know, you didn't have to do anything else. Just, it's so frustrating. And that's what the whole movie is. It's just stilted and weird for no reason. But like,
and
with
not
no
in
tension.
the good way like the original Silent Hill 2.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just weird and stilted, but not in a good way. It's like if they had it went more, it would have been better, or if it had it went less, it would have been worse. But I think they've already done that with the first 2, so you know maybe the 4th one they'll probably figure it out, or they could never do this again, and that's the better option.
I think that from the way people are talking about this movie, I think that is going to be the inevitable outcome.
Here's the thing, right?
You know,
So, Alan, here's some free advice, right? If you're a filmmaker and you're ever listening to this for some reason, and you have the idea going, I want to make a Silent Hill movie, don't. Just don't. Do something else. Do anything else. Go for a walk. You know, take your dog out. Take a random flight to Paris. Go to a hockey game. Go talk to a girl or a dude. You know, hang out with your friends. Read a book.
or listen to our podcast.
Listen to our
Which you
podcast.
can do.
Literally do anything else. Just don't do that.
Which, unfortunately, does have to end now. You can listen to our podcast again next week.
You can listen to all of our podcasts on
Listen to all
Nerd
of our
Media or on Spotify. Yeah. There's a
on
lot.
streaming services of your choice. If you're on our YouTube channel, our whole back catalog is up there. You can and if you like, you can also subscribe to that. If you would also like to check out any of our social medias, all of them are on our website, nerdtoknowmedia.com. There, of course, as well, if you want to support us further. You can find our Patreon. All of these things you could do instead of making another Silent Hill movie.
Literally anything. Just pick it. You know what? You just have a dartboard of different activities and just throw that. If you're ever just tempted to go, I want to make a Silent Hill movie, throw at that dartboard. That's what needs to happen. That's my one wish for anyone who thinks a fourth Silent Hill movie at this point would be a good idea. Never is. And that is my final thought for this evening.
And I think that is exactly the note we need to leave on.
Absolutely.
So, thank you all for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening
listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.